What it do, cuckolds? It's your boy, the Hater, and it's time for our Crown Stool review. The Hater is 37, but feels like he's 17 because the Hater can still dance all night long. You understand me? Now, I didn't get to watch SmackDown because I was celebrating my birthday. And I would have watched it today, but we had Crown Stool to watch today. So what would be the point? So I just watched Crown Stool. I'm going to be reviewing that for you. But, you know, from this point forward, expect Monday and Friday night reviews in perpetuity. You know, unless something else happens that's amazing, like Thanksgiving or something like that. But anyways, let's get to it, all right? This show, in my opinion, was complete crap. But, you know, without me talking about the show overall, let's do our segment-to-segment analysis. First of all, the first segment of the show is a collection of commercials and other promotional materials, which lasts about 20 minutes. This lasts longer than basically every match on this card did, right? It was ridiculous. Before the first match started, everything else that happened took 20 minutes. I couldn't believe it. I fell asleep and I woke up and the match still hadn't started. Now, the first match was what should be the last match in the Bloodline saga. You know, I know you're thinking, Hater, it can't end like this. I know it's going to keep going. But why? Why does it need to keep going? The match was a six-man tag match. It was the Usos and Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fat Fuck, and Tama Tonga, with obviously Camacho being the guy that doesn't get to wrestle because he's one of the worst wrestlers in the history of wrestling. And that was the story of this match as far as I'm concerned. It's time for us to accept the reality. Samoans are not good at wrestling. But it's not just Samoans. A lot of people today just weren't good at wrestling, right? The amount of botches and mistakes that aren't meant to be tolerated nowadays is unprecedented. Like, everyone's making mistakes during matches to the point where it's like, it just looks stupid. Forget about looking fake, because it's been looking fake for years now, but it looks stupid. It just looks dumb. You know what I mean? And here's the problem. There's a level of athleticism that is required to do certain things. You know, there's certain wrestlers that have the capacity to do certain types of moves. You know, the best example I can think of course, is Rey Mysterio, right? Rey Mysterio very seldom botches. And when he does, it's like, okay, Rey Mysterio botched. It's going to happen once in a while. You know, Ricochet. We can say all we want about him, but the fact is this guy very seldom botches, right? Adrian Neville. There's a lot of wrestlers that very seldom botch. Then there's wrestlers that are intelligent, like Booker T, The Rock, Stone Cold, The Undertaker, player. These are wrestlers that maybe, if they were doing the crazy moves that Rey Mysterio does, would be botching everything. So they don't do those moves. And as a result, I can't think of one Booker T botch. You know what I mean? I can't think of one. The only one I can think of is the one where he was supposed to jump over the spear and Goldberg catches his leg, and then he sells that perfectly because he understood how wrestling works. Now, we have people like the Usos who aren't athletic trying to do athletic people moves. Like, there was a part in the match, I think it was Jey Uso. He does a kick, the bad guy catches the kick and spins him around. He's going to try to do essentially like the money clip that, that Shelton Benjamin used to do, also known as the Dragon Whip, right? He tries to do that, it doesn't work. So he ends up kicking the guy in the shoulder, and the guy sells it like he got kicked in the head. You know what I mean? This is unacceptable. It's like, you botched the move completely, Jey Uso. I think it was Jey, could have been Jimmy, because I am one of the people that still can't tell them apart. You know, he spins around, does the kick, hits the guy on the shoulder, the guy sells it like he's dead. You know, this is the problem with these botches, right? You can look at someone like Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston, in his mind, he's as athletic as Ricochet. He's as athletic as Rey Mysterio. But in reality, he's not. So 95% of the things that Kofi Kingston does look like shit. Yet he continues to do them. It's like, bro, wrestle a more conservative style like Xavier Woods. You're about as athletic as Xavier Woods. You're not AJ Styles, so stop trying to do AJ Styles level moves. This is unacceptable. But anyways, this match had a lot of that, right? The Samoans just don't know how to do anything other than their 5 moves. Now, during the match, there were also a lot of inconsistencies with respect to the logic of the match. There's a part where Jimmy Uso comes and super kicks Jacob Fatu in the head. Jacob Fatu completely no-sells it, which was pretty cool, because he completely no-sold it. Then he throws Jimmy Uso out. Then Jey Uso comes in and super kicks him, and he sells that one. For some reason, Jey Uso's super kick is superior to Jimmy Uso's super kick, right? To be fair, it's not that, Jacob Fatu completely sold the Jey Uso one, but he sold it a lot more. So for some reason, when one of the Usos does the super kick, it's better than when the other one does it. There was also a part that was inexcusable. From all sides. The match starts culminating, starts crescendoing. Roman Reigns does the ooh-ah, the whole crowd goes crazy. The crowd, which was perfect, because this crowd didn't take no bull, by the way. This crowd got excited about things that are exciting and was silent about things that were silent-driven, right? Things that nobody gave a shit about, this crowd didn't give a shit about. Like Jade Cargill came out, nobody gave a fuck. She may as well not have come out. But anyways, more on that later. But this crowd goes wild when Roman Reigns does the ooh-ah. He goes for the spear, and as usual, he misses. Every time he does the ooh-ah, he misses the spear. So Solo just kicks him, grabs him, Samoan spikes him, pins him. 1, 2, essentially 3, Jey Uso misses his cue, right? Roman Reigns misses his cue because if the guy's not breaking up the pin, you kick out anyways. So it doesn't look stupid, but it looks stupid. The only person that didn't miss their cue was the referee. He's like, fuck, I guess I have to count to 2 and pretend that Roman Reigns kicked out. So that's what he does, ruining the match completely. The only solace of this match was that at the end, Roman Reigns got basically demolished by Solo Sikoa. He got hit with 2 Samoan spikes, he got pinned. So it's like, okay, whatever, at least it's not like they had this massive botch in the match and the opposite thing happened, right? But basically, without any kind of excessive interference, the general shenanigans you would expect with the new bloodline having one more guy in ringside called Camacho, right? They basically win the match relatively clean, if you ask me, right? This is kind of what the match was supposed to be. It was 3-on-3 on paper, but you knew it was 3-on-4, right? So Cody Rhodes can overcome the odds, but Roman Reigns can't. Roman Reigns takes the pin, he gets completely brutalized, he eats Samoan spikes left and right, and he gets pinned. Then he tries to fight back despite this. So the bloodline starts beating his ass. Sami Zayn comes out wearing an Afghan. He looks like shit. Sami Zayn is like prancing down the ring. This is the fattest he's ever been. He just looks like a complete slob. He looks like shit. I can't believe this guy even has a job. But because he's an Arab, he gets a massive pop in Saudi Arabia. Good for him. I don't give a shit. He goes there, pretends he's on the side of Solo Sikoa, but he obviously isn't. So he does an exploder suplex on Solo Sikoa, starts beating up the other 2 jobbers. Jacob Fatu just attacks him, and that's it. They get their asses beat. Then, to add a final indignity to Roman Reigns, there's a part where Solo Sikoa is in the center of the ring, and each corner is occupied by one of the good guys. Basically, Roman Reigns goes for the spear, Sami goes for the haluva kick, or essentially a running big boot because he wasn't in the corner. And here's what happened, Cucks. Solo Sikoa just ducks and gets out of the ring. Sami Zayn super kicks, essentially, or haluva kicks, I should say, Roman Reigns in the head. That's it. Solo Sikoa just runs out. As far as I'm concerned, the feud's over. Then Jimmy Uso gets mad at Sami Zayn for some reason, as if he did it on purpose. He came here to save you guys, to save the shit half of your family from clearly the superior half, Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa came out looking like a real star here, and Roman Reigns came out looking like a jobber. Not even like a mid-carder. Like Roman Reigns came out first, then Jey Uso came out. So Jey Uso just feels more important. He got a bigger pop. He got a bigger, well, maybe not a bigger pop, but he got a huge pop because he came out last, and he has like the entrance that gives him a pop. You know what I mean? Then Roman Reigns got his ass beat the entire match. Then Roman Reigns is made to look like an idiot by getting kicked by Sami Zayn. So it's like, at this point, the amount of ass whoopings that the good guys have gotten at the hands of the bad guys makes it so there's nothing that the good guys can do to overcome the bad guys, right? Any stipulation that might be offered in the future with respect to, let's have a match like winner takes all or losers disband, any of that shit is stupid. There's no need for it. Clearly, Solo Sikoa has won the feud, as far as I'm concerned. Logically speaking, in kayfabe, there is no reason for Solo Sikoa to even go after Roman Reigns anymore, right? He has the Ula Fala. He proved that his bloodline is superior to Roman Reigns's, and that's it. The fact that Roman Reigns can get an Arab white guy to join, and then maybe they have a chance, is immaterial to the storyline, because Sami Zayn is not blood. He's not part of the bloodline. So Solo Sikoa has proven that within this bloodline, he's superior. Yes, if Roman Reigns gets The Undertaker and Stone Cold and Goldberg to help, eventually he can beat Solo Sikoa. But those are not part of the bloodline. So there you have it. This was a complete disaster. This was a complete cucking of Roman Reigns. And quite frankly, I don't give a shit about Roman Reigns anymore. I don't care if he ever wrestles again. I don't care if he gets released. This is one of the biggest burials of all time. But let's continue, because we have more where that came from, cuckolds. Next up, we have a meaningless fatal four-way tag team match for the women's tag team championships, right? Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill come out. The allure of Jade Cargill is completely gone at this point. It's over. It's been nearly a year. They've done nothing with her. I no longer give a shit. Lash Legend can easily be the next Jade Cargill. She doesn't have the same good looks, but she's big and strong, and that's all you need. Jade Cargill is a failure. I don't care anymore. I don't give a shit if she wins the Women's Royal Rumble. I don't care. They wasted a year of her career for no reason. And as a result, I can never take her seriously. She's feuding with Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. That's all you need to know about this. Speaking of those two, they're in the match. And then Kairi Sane and Io Sky are also in the match, as are the aforementioned Lash Legend and her partner, Jakara Jackson, right? The match is what the match is. Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair win with the Doomsday device. Nobody cared at all. Who gives a shit? Then we've got Seth Rollins turning Bronson Reed into a complete joke of a jobber. This match was a disaster. I hated everything about it. The highlights of the match were there's a point where Bronson Reed throws Seth into the ring and does the tsunami. For some reason, Seth Rollins rolls out of the way of the second tsunami. Why didn't he do this when he was blindsided by Bronson Reed, like months ago? Now, all of a sudden, Seth Rollins has superpowers that allow him to roll out of the way. He rolls out, and through a series of dumbass events, including multiple foot stomps, or not foot stomps, whatever, curb stomps, right? Seth Rollins wins. He hits a stomp. Basically, all you need to know is this. Bronson Reed plays the role of the bumbling giant retard very well. He's running around with the steel steps. Seth Rollins essentially kicks him in the leg. He hits his head on the steps. He gets curb stomped on the steps. Then he gets thrown inside the ring. Or no, he doesn't. Seth Rollins goes to the ring. He crawls in the ring, gets curb stomped. Rollins climbs up the turnbuckle, does a super stomp, and wins. That's it. Then afterwards, Seth Rollins leaves, and he's like, if you do this again, the same thing's going to happen. I'll make you famous. It's like, dude, you're in the third match of the night. Like, this is a undercard match. Like, you could call that a mid-card match if you want, but let's be real. All that happened here was Bronson Reed was told, sorry, kid, you're not good enough. Back to being Baron Corbin. It is for you. So that's what happened, and nobody gives a flying fuck. Next up, we had the women's crown stool match. It was Liv Morgan versus Nia Jax. The match was a disaster. The match just went on and on and on, and there was interference upon interference upon interference. Nia Jax should have won, in my opinion, because the entire story of the match here is Nia Jax is a real wrestler, and everybody else is just a thorn on her side, including Tiffany Stratton, whose attempted cash-ins have gotten out of control. It's like every fucking time Tiffany Stratton appears on TV, she attempts a cash-in. She attempts it and then withdraws in the end. This is stupid. This ruins the entire allure. Now I don't care when she cashes in. Compare this to the best cash-in of all time, the first one with Edge. Edge almost never pretended he was going to cash in. He found his moment, and he cashed in on Cena after Elimination Chamber. You know what I mean? But whatever. It's not going to be that good. I get it. At the end of the day, I'm comparing Edge to Tiffany Stratton. So there you have it. But this match was really dumb. Basically, as a result of the multiple distractions, Liv Morgan hits the Oblivion and pins Nia Jax to become the first ever women's crown stool champion in a match that lasted about 5 minutes. Now, the triple threat match for the U.S. title was probably the best match of the night in terms of actual match dynamics, right? These three guys can put on a good match. There was a part where, once again, I like LA Knight, but I have to be honest, right? The two other guys in this match are more athletic than him, right? Especially Carmelo Hayes. There's a part where LA Knight tries to do that suplex thing where he jumps on the top rope and does it, and he botches it. He pretty much crotches himself, right? And it's like, this is unacceptable. You can't do the move correctly, you know what I mean, all the time. You can't do it consistently and correctly, LA Knight, so don't do it anymore. At this point, it's becoming ridiculous. It's like every other time that he tries to do the superplex thing, he fucks it up. It's like Kofi Kingston when he does the little thing where he jumps and does like a Bronco Buster but to the top, right? He fucks it up like 90% of the time. It's time to stop doing the move. You know, same thing, there was a part where Io Sky and the other one were gonna do like a bunch of moves, and they have no coordination. They're so unathletic that like the move just looked like shit. And they were gonna do this like, I guess it was gonna be like the thing that Billy Kidman and Rey Mysterio used to do, where like one launches the other one onto the top turnbuckle to do a Hurricane Rana, right? Except instead of Rey Mysterio, you have like Io Sky or Kairi Sane, whoever was being thrown. And they fucked it up completely. You know, and I knew it before the move was gonna happen. I'm like, this is gonna be a botch. And they botch it. You know, enough of this. Stop it. You're not good enough to do these moves. Stop doing these moves. But then, after this match, after LA Knight wins, hopefully ending this feud forever, we have Cody Rhodes versus Gunther. This match bored me half to death. I don't care. Cody Rhodes wins with a counter to a sleeper, and he pins Gunther. 1, 2, 3. He becomes the Crown Stool champion. Gunther shakes his hand for some reason, which is really stupid. And then afterwards, Triple H comes out. So does Liv Morgan. They pose for the cameras, and that's the end of that. So the only thing that matters in this show is the first match and the first segment, or the second segment, because the first segment was 20 minutes of commercials. But the second segment, the Roman Reigns part, this was the only thing in this pay-per-view that had any kind of bearing. It was the only thing here that was canon, if you will, for the show. Because the fact that Cody Rhodes beat Gunther is not going to be mentioned ever again, basically. And if it is, nobody cares. You know what I mean? That's the problem with these Saudi shows. Like, they don't really count. You know, it's just like, do you remember when Braun Strowman won like the biggest Royal Rumble or whatever? And like nobody mentioned it ever again because it doesn't count. It happened in Saudi Arabia. The stuff with Roman Reigns counts, but it failed completely. Roman Reigns looks like a jobber now. And quite frankly, Solo Sikoa is validated and vindicated in starting his own bloodline. Because the Roman Reigns bloodline sucks ass, as we saw today. They can't even beat Tama Tonga. They can't stop interference with Camacho. Camacho, who was second to Unico, who was the second Sin Cara. You see what I'm talking about? Sin Cara, one of the greatest jobbers of all time, had an alternate. There was another guy that wanted to be Sin Cara. This guy was called Unico. So this guy was below a jobber. He had a lackey called Camacho, who is now Tongaloa. That's how far we've gone. This guy is now like beating up the world champion. Are you kidding me? Anyways, whatever, cucks. I don't give a flying fuck. The show was garbage. I hated it. And I hope that wrestling gets better starting now. Cuckolds up in this mug.